What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Your Band podcast, the one and only Ubers podcast. Today we're here with the legend, the myth, the Mr. Hacky Must. Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Nice. Man, Quebec didn't write like a great post this after last week's game. It was so funny. He's a memer. He's a true memer.
I saw the sign-up post that you guys did, the prepare for trouble and make it double.
Yeah.
I thought
That was pretty funny.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, we were like, we gotta do something really lame, but at the same time we can't just sign up like nothing has happened. Both of us had been gone for like a year, so of course we had to do something extra for the fans. It was kind of dorky, but
Yeah. I mean, it's all about pleasing the people. Like, this is the...
no. This is what we always did. That's why I thought, personally, when we did best of three in every UPL game, I thought it was much funnier because you could bring sort of more yank strategies and fun teams and have more fun in general with building and not being so pressured about building the exact best team for every game.
Yeah. And then you lose DPP because you lost the taunt speed tie on the Oxus speed.
Yeah. That's
And then,
you gotta run the shadow balls, man.
Ooh, I was so upset because I had Shadow Ball on it, and me and Pearl were discussing what we're gonna do, and we thought long and hard, and we saw so many Darkrai's and so many Teeters in those replays, and we said we have to run Superpower.
Yeah.
But we can't not run E-Speed because a single Deoxys attack and we're done for.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta probably combine like two mons to make sure you don't get fucked up in the lead matchup in DPP. So for example, if you had Shadow Ball and you could maybe have maybe a Giratina or something in the back to just take out the Deoxys afterwards or something else. I'm not exactly sure what I would do in that situation. Suicide leads are nice, but I think there is a limit to what I can sort of take when it comes to these mods, because I just my brain starts collapsing in on itself when I start to do all these cross matchups and this mon beats that mon, but I lose to this mon, but this mon might be a good matchup, and then you're like, can't I just have a solid lead?
What you guys think of Kush versus X-Line? What do you guys think of X-Line in general, actually?
Yeah, no.
Because he's been kind of hot this. I know there's like the 1-8 exhibition memes and all that shit.
The memes exist for a reason.
He's been doing pretty well this UPL so far.
I agree. I mean, the ADV games, ADV is like definitely a tier that you don't just pick up and then you do well. It's more of you have to know your stuff and you actually need to be knowledgeable about the actual tier and intricacies and like what can be on the back, because not team preview as well. And it's not quite the same as DPP, because DPP, the archetypes are so similar that you always know that, oh, there's a Giratina sitting in the back. Oh, there's always like probably gonna be a Scarf Dragon. I don't want to lose to Darkrai, so I always need a Sleep Fodder, and I also need to be wary of Rain.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, and also the fact that nothing really gets one-hit KO'd. I mean, or like, of course things get one-hit KO'd, but generally you can switch around a few times and not get completely bodied like by some Draco Meteor, Specs, Dialga or something. So you have this as well. So it's not that easy to just gain an advantage, because you need to string together quite a few plays in a row, stuff like that. So it's definitely a hard tier to play, and I think it's not.
I mean,
the fucking what was it? The bluff, the DOA bluff. Like he bluffed the band for like, what was it, 10 turns straight, 3 times in it.
Yeah, that was a very good.
And then
bluff.
that just the lax, I think it was. Yeah. And the lax got blown away by Superpower.
Oh yeah, it was spell tag.
Yeah, it was spell tag. The
it was spell tag.
That was very impressive. That was one of the most impressive showings I've seen this UPL.
Yeah, that was the first game.
I mean, Uber's Open had 2 ADV games being played. The Exiline versus Irie.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I cannot think of any other tier.
Yeah.
Any other generation where you would get the same tier twice and you would get a very bulky like matchup in both games, like from both players. One of the games was straight up stall versus stall, and the other one was like bulky, like fat balance versus stall, if I remember correctly.
Which tournament was this?
Uber's Open this year, Tralalala versus Exiline, the finals.
Oh, so they play like in Uber's Open, they don't play Sun Moon anymore?
No, they play the first game is always Sun and Moon, and then they get to decide in a BO5 fashion. The loser gets to pick any gen. Like you're not bound by you played this gen earlier. Like
so
if you're a newer player, you can keep picking a USM if you.
So it's not part of Grand Slam anymore. It's just like a standalone.
Yeah. Uber's got kicked out of everything.
Yeah. I realized that.
Yeah. It's mainly because of like the whole ghosting scandals and all that, right? And all those stack thing.
Yeah. I think at some point my personal opinion, but this is hindsight, and it's 2020, so I think banning Mega Rayquaza just opened up a little bit too much in terms of argumentation regarding what the tier should be and how good it should be. The thing is, we can't really say it would have been so much worse with Mega Rayquaza or better or whatever, because we didn't test it for long enough. And so basically, looking back at it, I feel like if we had just kept cool and not banned stuff, maybe no one would have asked so much of us in later stages, and maybe it would have been more respected, because at least we sort of stuck to believing in something, right? Not just catering to a quick fix, basically. But I obviously understand that there's high potential that Mega Rayquaza was indeed very broken, but maybe it wasn't that much worse than the alternative. I don't know.
I see where you're coming from. I think Ners made a post that tried to define exactly what the identity of Ubers is and try to get some community feedback. But something I've noticed, and I'm pretty sure like the higher ups of Ubers have noticed as well, Ubers players don't really like to take it to the forums to discuss what's on their mind. All gen players do it a lot, because we have like this entire thread where we discuss like ADV power viability rankings, for example, and people keep discussing the same things for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Not the same things, but they keep the discussion going. But if, for example, there was a controversial ban or a controversial move on the side of, I'll pick a tier at random, RU, for example, then a lot of players would be very, very vocal on the forums, telling why they agree, why they disagree. There would be some back and forth. We don't really get to see that in Ubers, but the community is very active on Discord. Like, there is discourse, and there's a lot of feedback being given on Discord, but because it's not so official and people don't make lengthy posts that they think about, it doesn't get treated as such. So
I also think there's a component of this where, an Ubers player is, I would say, a little more inclined to just not ban stuff. I mean, that's the sort of the nature of it, I guess, because we didn't ban stuff before, and so I mean the threshold is just higher. So the discussions don't tend to be that much about really banning things or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like it got to the point where people complained a little bit too much, in my opinion. And I guess I get where they're coming from too, because after you ban something like Mega Rayquaza, where do you draw the line of what's actually too good? Because okay, Mega Rayquaza should be used like all the time almost, but then you have Criminal Groudon after that, which is also used almost all the time. And if you ban that, what's next? Xerneas? I don't know. So it's once you start banning something and start having these discussions, well, people are going to be quite mad that you don't do the next thing and the next thing to fix whatever is the issue. But true Ubers players have never really been like this, because it's like you have this tolerance, I think, inherently, that you tolerate that, there's a Palkia and DPP that you can't really switch into, and you have to predict or you lose something, and we tolerate all sorts of shit in Black and White with Darkrai sleeping and Ho.
No, Darkrai has always been an issue. Darkrai, every single player I've talked to who plays Gens 4 to 6 has just said that Darkrai should never have been created, or sleep shouldn't have been the way it is.
It was bad. It's bad for the Aura's metagame, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of players think that as well.
Yeah, it probably is, but the mentality of the players has always been to shrug it off and do their best regardless of it, and don't complain that much. And I think most people who actually like Ubers think like this. There is no urgency in that respect, I think. And then there are other people who are way more urgent with and have way more demands. But I think if you truly like Ubers,
there's more of a there's more of like a tough it out attitude in Ubers than in other tiers.
It's newer players that haven't been around for too long, who haven't really built a tolerance for things that are big and broken. But at the end of the day, that's sort of like part of Ubers. Like, you have to tolerate that you can't check and you can't beat every single thing with every single team. Like, you only have 6 months. And there's so many possibilities, so many sets that you will face in Ubers sooner or later. And you can't just check and counter every single thing.
I also like to think of it as sort of, it was a great ride, but at some point the sort of experiment of Ubers had to go sour, because until there were so much power creep and so much new items and moves and mons, Ubers worked out by itself, and it was a great balance while it lasted. But as long as you keep adding things to the game, of course it's not gonna last. So I guess the question is, are you gonna try to fix it and maybe create more problems with the identity of the tier in the meantime, or are you just gonna say, well, we had a great time with these tiers and they worked out because we had a hands-off attitude, and now it doesn't work out as well, but we can still play if we want and have fun. I sort of think that's sort of the attitude I would use to approach this with, that maybe it wasn't like meant to last forever, because the sort of concept of not banning things and something and still having great tiers, it just can't last if you keep adding things. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those mentalities which works out in the beginning, but after a while, a tier and like people in general, you gotta evolve at some point. You gotta learn to grow, and I think Ubers is a hard time having to let that go.
Yeah, and I think it's just honestly better if people just try to hold on to what they like and what they if they like playing the tier untouched and stuff like that, then just keep playing it and don't care as much. Just.
It's a generation or a gen and a tier very driven by the people who play it.
Yeah.
They decide if they want to get something banned or if they don't, and if they really want something banned, they'll rise up and they'll make their voices heard. And if they don't, they'll just keep on playing.
Yeah, such an example has been seen. A lot of the community members have been asking for at least this aspect test of Ultra Necrosmium on Duskmane specifically, but then it reaches the level of a complex ban that people really don't want, because nobody's ever gonna complain that Dawnwing's Necrozma holding the Z item, the Z crystal, is absolutely broken. The issue arises with the 50/50s that it creates at times, where you don't know what to switch into it, because sometimes you switch a hole into a Necrozma, it clicks as D, and now you don't know whether it's gonna ultra up and click Outrage and OHKO you, or click Stone Edge, or if it's forced to switch out, because it only carries Earthquake and a Z and a still move, and it can't touch it. Power creep has also been super duper dominant. If you got the best possible players back in Black and White, and you told them E-Killer in the next gens is not gonna see in 2 gens time is not gonna see almost any tournament play. They would have called you mad. But if you go back and check the usage of E-Killer, it's very, very scarce. Like, we've reached the power creep where a mon that in the generation that it was introduced was literally banned and unobtainable. In the next generation, it pretty much, you had to build around it whether you liked it or not. Like, it was such a big threat.
Yeah, it was one of the you have to check mons basically. You have to have an actual method of checking this. Yeah, no, I understand this.
Yeah, and then in Auras it was also such a big menace with the example of Sample HO, a team that is literally a sample, but people have to prepare for, because when you build, I mean, because if your team can't handle Sample HO, then by nature I think it's a bad team. Yeah,
a bad team. But also, yeah, I don't know, because it's so hard to say what you can do to dial it down. You know, how many mons do you have to ban? How many mechanics and items and complex things do you have to ban until you dial it down to the level of a metagame that people could accept to be great? I think it's really hard to draw these lines, because once you get used and once you get used to this sort of the new thing that is more powerful than the last thing, you tend to forget about the last thing. Like people got used to Xerneas, and then things like, I don't know, Primal Groudon came along, and well, people didn't forget about Xerneas that much, but people definitely shifted their focus. So you always sort of adapt the thing at the top, and the problem is, if you ban the thing at the top and then you start a new metagame where there is something else at the top, then you probably need to ban that as well at some point, because you still will just go back to the time before that the other thing was released, and then you have to sort of strip off until you get to that point. It's really hard to draw that line. When do you stop?
Yeah, it's really hard to define that boundary. Yeah, I agree with you, Hack.
I mean, even if you strip off the very top, it doesn't mean that the thing that used to be number 2 is now number 1 by definition. Because I'm pretty sure that if Primal Groudon didn't exist, but we still had Primal Kyogre, not only is normal Kyogre suddenly meteorically rises, because the one thing that makes it literally unviable almost in every single capacity is completely gone. And you also get Primal Kyogre, where's your switching at this point? Ferrothorn gets murked by Water Spout, special walls get hit by Liquidation or Calm Mind. So where do you draw the line then? Like, do you ban Primal?
Probably not, but
Ultra Necrozma?
Yeah.
And Shadow Tag in general. There was the suspect test.
Yeah, and then exactly. Then you probably have to ban everything back until, I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna like, small parenthesis here. They did my boy Darkrai so wrong this generation. We already know Game Freak doesn't care about singles and literally doesn't care about like, big boys such as Darkrai. The only reason Dark Void got nerfed was because of Smeargle, but they also made it so nobody except Darkrai can use Dark Void anyway in Generation 7. So they just absolutely murked the poor thing for no good reason, just to appease the VGC fans. But they also appease them because Smeargle no longer gets the freaking move, so I don't know. I'm just salty because Darkrai was always one of the things that you had to play super careful around, and there were so many sets that could catch people off guard. You know how many games can be won just by, instead of being Nasty Plot or 3 attacks, you just go for double status? Example in Black and White. Oh, I sent something to sleep, Genesect comes in, it's Thunder Waved. Now what does it do? Nothing.
Yeah, and probably, and at some point you reach Gengar and stuff like that, and then I guess the hard point is when you even get to the point where you're like, is it really such a good idea to have E-Killer in the tier or Ho-Oh or stuff that has been staples for generations? You can probably start asking these questions once you banned like 5, 6, 7, 8 top mons. You start getting to these previously sort of good mons, but and I guess what I'm trying to say is that the attitudes maybe has changed then, because you have banned 8 mons that are really good, and now you're starting to look at things differently because you're seeing like how E-Killer can be absolutely absurd in certain matchups or Darkrai or whatever, and you can be like, yeah, now we reached this point, why not just go all the way and ban this and this and this, and then I don't know what's left of Ubers then, so drawing this line is super hard. I mean,
I think it's very accurate what Hack said. When you decide to ban something and the next thing becomes more powerful than the next, then where do you draw the line? Do you keep banning all the new mons? Do you because if for example we would have banned Xerneas, then the next move would have probably been ban Pidon, maybe ban Kyogre. After that you get Mega Zygarde and you get the Grosma, the Dustmane. Those are insta bans then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. SD Darkrai. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My co-host just dipped. I don't know why.
Oh, he did.
Ubers is also... I think Ubers and OU are the 2 generations off the top of my head that I can think of whose metagame for the past gens evolves super duper fast every single year. Yeah, I mean, for example, Aura's past and Durian still sees played, still sees variations. For example, we got the Tide game this week between Lucos and Ishio. That game we saw a variation of the Durian Stone with Skarmory instead, and some people...
my net dropped on its neck, so that was a very epic gamer moment. What were
I
you
was
guys
saying
talking
that
about?
Ubers and OU are the 2 tiers off the top of my head whose past gen meta evolves and doesn't keep itself super duper stale. I've seen some like UU games where Aura's teams are the exact same, Black and White teams the exact same, and then you get to watch...
You should never send Genesect into Darkrai. My number 1 playing tip for everyone listening. Want to hear some real Black and White advice? Never do this. Just never do. If your team forces you to do this, then you haven't built a good team. And I mean, and if you absolutely have no choice and it's still a team that could have potentially done it, then you should not even do it. Then you should probably just sack something. You have to have respect for this. So, that one is crazy. I remember I think I won a fair amount of games in DPP when I started playing DPP like 4 or 5 years ago with like Swords Dance and shit. So, or was it in... I think I won some Ubers Open games in Auras actually with Swords Dance too. Yeah. There was just dual... It was all dark moves too in Auras. It was Dark Void, Nasty Paw, Sucker Punch, and Knockoff. Yeah, I mean, dude, like when people started, you always get this jump on things. Oh wait, Sword Dance is actually a normal move. Yeah, I forgot. So it's not 4 dark moves, but yeah, it's just super fun when people, the usual, they switch to Blissey or something, and yeah, then you get that extra turn where they're like, gotta have to switch again, and you don't want to switch again versus Darkrai because it's Darkrai. So. But it's also super underwhelming. I mean, not in Auras, but in like before Knockoff was that good. You were actually like walled by Giratina O, like 100% stone walled, because it didn't have to attack you. It could just sub or wisp or whatever. So. So that was very paradoxical, but
that happens in OU especially as well. In OU, people sit on a throne of their own lies. like the biggest jerks possible, where ADVOU is the pinnacle of play. But of course not. You see, GSC, Snorlax chess as I like to call it, is absolutely the epitome of high IQ plays. And then you get just this big jerk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You need to find something that clicks for you.
Oh yeah.
For the people in this call and for most of the people listening, that's something that clicks apparently is very big mons with very much inflated stats, and every single gen the stats just get more and more inflated, and as does the play race.
Yeah, I think we have this sort of. I guess it's because we sort of. I don't know if we like our current metagame that much or whatever, but people tend to go back and try one more time. Try to innovate in the old gens a lot. We have that sort of thing in Ubers. It's always been. Yeah, it definitely happens, but. Yeah. But I think it's super nice that people can have these opinions and just really. I'm not much for bashing other tiers, but if you like a tier, then I mean fair enough. But I felt it was always I felt it was just impossible to sort of have a constructive debate on what tier was better than the other. I just think you should play whatever you like, and things tend to work out. I tried other tiers, but I don't know. I just didn't find anything interesting for me personally in them. I'm not saying any of those tiers are bad. I'm just saying I preferred to do Ubers for some reason. Yeah, I don't know.
In DPP, when you're facing a very fat team and you notice that their sixth mon is still unrevealed, and that Ludicolo comes out in rain, oof. Entire teams lose because they don't have a way to touch that mon behind the sub. It's interesting because those niches, as you said earlier, are super duper cool, like to think about, because every single generation has them, where it's something that checks or does a very specific job that nothing else does, and it doesn't even need to have super high stats for it to do it. So it's super cool.
But what drove me really to Ubers, which I've said probably a lot in the past too, but is that it used to be, and it's still now, that there were some niche things that you could run with, that those things didn't have particularly good stats compared to the real Ubers, but you could still use them because they had like a specific role to play. So I think the first mon I was really like sort of awed by in Ubers was Fortress or something like that, because it doesn't look like it would do much, but it plays a very specific role. So as I was always drawn to that sort of aspect of it. I mean, sure, I do love the sort of overpowered stuff as well, and the high base stats, but it was really where the sort of high base stat met the sort of specific roles thing that really is, I find quite amazing actually.
There's still some cool ideas, but also people think that they need to be fire flames and bring something think outside the box. You probably know a lot of people who have tried to make the argument that Gold Deck has some viability because Cloud9 turns off Primal Wither.
There's a reason why it's a banned phrase in the Ubers room for about a few years now.
Yeah.
It's like SD Scarm, I know you. That was a thing as well.
Yeah, but I think there has been sort of an inflation or a deflation in how useful these sort of niche things have become in newer gens, so I can't really relate to that as much anymore. But
so it was double powder heal English, huh? That's an interesting set. Whew.
Yeah.
It's actually a cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you saw like for example, I don't know, there are still these things, but I felt like the attitude towards this wasn't like you are supposed to flex on anyone or anything. Like Kebab's team today, for example, it was pretty legit. It just had a Lilligant, and but it still had a very specific role to play. Unfortunately, it got crit, so we would have seen some really nice action from it. I can assure you of that, because it had. I mean, I was part building it, the team, so the double powder and healing wish would have really been good. Yeah, and grass gem leaf storm, grass gem leaf storm. So it would have lived with 7% at the very least if it wasn't crit, and it gets an Oko on Darkrai and doesn't die then because it doesn't need life orb, and then you still have the healing wish for whatever later. So it was kind of cool. Yeah. I was looking through teams and I was like, I have a Lilligant team. I noticed like what there was a Lilligant team in my black and white builder. I was like, this is actually kind of trash, but if I combine this Lilligant team with the Espeon Darkrai Sun team, if you have seen that one, Darkrai Espeon ho E-Killer, I was like, what's actually good about the team? Well, you get to sleep something with Darkrai, okay? Lilligant can do this, and we still have a Ho-Oh, so you don't have to worry too much about being Arceus Ghost weak, because you still have Ho-Oh, you don't need Darkrai as well, really. Or it's just good that you have Darkrai because it's broken, but still. And then I was like, I just felt like it needed some spikes, so changed to the Rapid Spin Cloyster, and then it was like, yeah, this team is actually pretty fire. But it had a specific purpose in mind to facilitate the E-Killer sweep with Healing Wish and stuff like that. Stun Spore to maybe hack somebody. You never know. And Sleep also is pretty broken in black and white, I've experimented.
Yeah, it is. I was gonna say you should have brought it versus Ollie problems if you could, but then I realized same team, so that's kind of hard to do. Maybe at mid auctions, but we don't have those.
Yeah, I can bring it. I can bring it versus him in this, but Sleep in black and white is just very underrated. I mean, I experimented a lot with Excelgor as well. I think I was the first one to use it.
Excelgor is a very good and a very interesting lead. Shout out to Gaijin. Gaijin really likes his bug leads. Scolipede, Excelgor, all of that.
Yeah, I think I don't remember if I don't know if people actually know how to play it properly in black and white though, or build with it properly, because I've seen a lot of Excelgor teams, but I don't think they get it, or maybe they do, but I don't know. I can quickly say that Yawn is supposed to be used versus everything you shouldn't beat, sort of like Frostlass and Fortress mostly, because once you Yawn and then if you get killed and they fall asleep, you have to go into your phaser, face the whatever out, so the sleep turns reset, and then you practically kill them all. That's what you're supposed to do versus these, bad matchup leads like Fortress and Frostlass for Excelgor. So yeah, this is very important.
This is learning experiences with hack.
Yeah, no, but this is crucial, because if you don't actually have a phaser on your Excelgor team, then you haven't understood
the concept. Yeah,
the concept, because this was 100% the concept when I figured it out. There was no other way Excelgor could be good unless you yawned whatever should have been a bad matchup. See, you're up against a Cloyster, for example, really bad matchup. It just OKs you with the Icicle Spear through the sash, but you go yawn first turn. It kills you. It smashes. Well, then it will sleep. Next turn you can quick attack to break the sash before it kills you, and then you send out your Dialga and it sleeps, and you're fine because you can roar it out, or Stealth Rock and then roar it out. And this is sort of the concept.
What do you think of Yawn leads in newer gens like Oras or Uber Sun Moon?
Like dedicated leads. Yeah, I think in Auras, I don't know. I think
change between ORAS and black and white when it comes to like dedicated leads.
the obvious thing is defog, but I mean the more, I mean the more. The bigger thing, I guess, is magic bouncers like Mega Sableye. I think we talked before a little bit about this sort of balance between offense and stall in Auras, and people just don't seem to bring enough stall so that people are getting reminded why you can't just run away with every single lead every single game just to counter other offenses. Because if you do that, you will eventually run into a Mega Sableye stall and you will probably lose. So I think they are okay, but I think there is a gamble that there is a matchup gamble for sure there. And it's very hard to. I couldn't myself run a lead like that too many times in a row, but I know some people do, and it seems to work. But run more stall, and you will see that it's actually not that reliable to run a Scolipede all time or a Cloyster or So you gotta have this sort of balance between like the offense and the stall that sort of pushes the teams towards certain directions. And if people just stop using sort of bulkier teams, then you're gonna see a lot of these leads, and they're gonna look super, super good, when in reality they probably have a lot of faults, but you don't really get to see them as much. So I think they're still okay. Like Cloyster in Auras is probably good. Scolipede, I don't know if I like that much. Deoxyspeed is obviously pretty good still.
I think Scolipede is decent as a lead, actually, like the T-Spike lead. I think Cloyster's better, but I don't think Scolipede is a bad lead.
Scolipede is certainly better versus offense in a sense, because it's just faster, but it's also no way it can break through Sableye, which Cloyster can perhaps do if it's a little bit lucky.
It's true, yeah. I agree with that. It has a hard time versus like balance, or I mean, Mega Diancie can deal with, but Sableye is the main problem. So like,
yeah, Mega Diancie can also, but these mons are, I mean, they're niche for a reason. But sure, I mean,
Scolipede offense is pretty. I don't want to say common, but it's pretty well known and pretty accepted. Yeah. Respected, I guess is the word. It's not seen as a gimmick or anything. It's like it's seen as legit. Like people will bring it in tours, and nobody will say like, oh, that's such a gimmick. Like it's not like Kebab bringing a Lilligant, even though that's like I respect that, and it's a cool move, but that's never gonna be standard, or never gonna be even close to like being semi-standard. While Scolipede, I think it has reached that semi-standard level.
Yeah.
It's like just a little bit above like Glalie Webs, for example.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. That's that's a little bit. I got crazy there. That was.
I mean, I had to mention that one.
Yeah. I think the Glalie Webs never won me any game at all. Like I don't know. I can't believe it's a team.
Speaking of that team, you ever build a team, and then you look back like a couple of years, and you see it in your builder, and you think to yourself, man, what the hell was I smoking when I made this?
Yeah, dude, I have so many teams right now. We can go through some really crispy ones from my builder if you guys want.
I have a lot of Zekrom teams in my black and white builder that never should have existed.
This is a good mon, though. I mean,
no, Zekrom is a good mon, but I just kind of threw it on a lot of teams where it doesn't fit, and I just kind of forced it.
Zekrom for me is the equivalent of like Edgar. I know what Edgar looks like, but I still imagine he looks like a Zekrom.
I don't think. Yeah.
He uses that in Auras. He uses that in Neverson Moon. He uses that in Black and White.
Yeah.
He loves that mon.
Yeah.
Scissor is like his second favorite, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
I saw the best of the three today, and I saw the first match, and it was a Zekrom, and I was like, oh yeah, this is Edgar playing, all right.
Yeah. The team he uses is is a classical black and white team made by a user called Sweethearts, I believe. So it's a pretty old 2013 team. I mean, it's pretty viable still. I have it in my builder. I use quite a lot of speed as well on it, on my heat ran there. I saw he taunted Dialga, so probably he also creeps a lot then. So yeah, but I have some stupid teams in my black and white. I have a Swallow team in my black and white builder for some reason. Not there.
Shout out Spassy G, brought Swallow in ADV. Almost made it work. The idea behind it is quick attack and pursuit, the 50-50 on Deoxys attack.
Oh yeah! But pursuit doesn't kill, right? It can switch versus I think so. Isn't it like, what's the special attack, like 50 and then you pursue the
It doesn't matter, it's Deoxys attack. It dies to everything.
I mean, it actually lives Metagross pursuit if you don't switch, so I'm not like 100%.
No, the idea is the 50-50 because nobody ran E-Speed, or we were expecting either no E-Speed or choice band.
Do you go with do you go with a hasty nature or something so you don't lower the special attack?
Yeah, something like that. Because you already don't need like defenses at all. You're not gonna live any hit.
Yeah, it seems like Pursuit has a 93.4% chance to 2-hit KO the Deoxys attack. So if it switches, you have the same chance of 1-hit KOing, I guess. So that's so yeah, it pretty much does it. But why do you need quick attack? Are they choice banned?
In case it doesn't switch. Because what if they stay in
and quick ice beam? Shadow Ball.
Yeah, but
I mean, if it's okay, it's you because against choice band.
Yeah, if it is choice band,
Shadow Balls,
always.
Then you get the free trap, but you also wanna play the 50-50 versus non-choice band. But extreme speed probably maybe it doesn't kill. I'm gonna check that because.
Okay, maybe not right now. This has been going for a decent amount of time. You got any shoutouts? Any special message hack for the fans, for the people? Because we're gonna have to wrap this up.
No, I'm gonna be. It's gonna be fun DPPing in UPL. Oh. We'll see if I keep doing it. We'll see where I end up.
All right, man of many talents, man of many gens. So nobody knows.
Yeah.
One and only Hacky Must.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
No worries, my man. No worries. We're looking forward to seeing more of you in UPL.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
That part last year, but
yeah,
it's gonna be fun for sure.
All right. Thank you again for having us, or for being here with us.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you.
The boys are back in town. Back in town. Oh, hey, I didn't catch you there. Yeah, we're back. We're back with more podcasts. So check out the other ones if you haven't, and new ones coming soon. Peace.